Chapter 1. Gulliver's Birth and Early Voyages. 200 years ago, a great deal of the world as we now know it was still undiscovered. There were yet very many islands, small and great, on which the eyes of white men had never looked, seas in which nothing bigger than an Indian canoe had ever sailed. A voyage in those days was not often a pleasant thing, for ships then were very bluff-bowed and slow-sailing, and for a long voyage very ill provided with food. There were no tinned meats 200 years ago, no luxuries for use even in the cabin. Sailors lived chiefly on salt junk, as hard as leather, on biscuit that was generally as much weevil as biscuit, and the water that they drank was evil-smelling and bad when it had been long in the ship's casks. So when a man said good-bye to his friends and sailed away into the unknown, generally very many years passed before he came back, if ever he came back at all. For the dangers of the seas were then far greater than they now are, and if a ship was not wrecked some dark night on an unknown island or uncharted reef, there was always the probability of meeting a pirate vessel and of having to fight for life and liberty. Steam has nowadays nearly done away with pirates, except on the China coast and in a few other out-of-the-way places. But things were very different long ago, before steamers were invented. And sailors then, when they came home, had many very surprising things to tell their friends, many astonishing adventures to speak of amongst the strange peoples that they said they had met in far-off lands. One man who saw more wonderful things than anyone else was named Lemuel Gulliver, and I will try to tell you a little about two of his voyages.